Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Young Dad Conversation. My name is Ricardo Salcido, and again, the premise of the show is that knowledge is empowering. So every week, I'm having a conversation with a young dad so that we can all benefit from listening to his story. So tonight, I have here Juan Gonzalez, who's been nice enough to say yes to this conversation. Juan is a native New Yorker. Juan, hello, and thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be able to talk to you about my experiences. And it's always a pleasure to have anything or any time for me to actually talk about my daughter and talk about the experiences of actually being a father. So thank you for that opportunity.
Excellent, excellent. So then, Juan, tell me a little bit about your experience as a dad first.
Well, I was a young dad, so in the beginning,
How old?
I was 24 actually when I had my daughter.
Okay.
In the beginning, you know the baby's coming, but you're never ready. You're never ready, especially being young. But when that baby comes and you're in the hospital and you see that child, your whole world changes, and you have to be there now. Right. You have to be a man.
I remember being very, very scared. Yeah. Very out of the loop. It felt like this was like I couldn't do this. It felt like I just didn't know what was going on.
Right.
Is that how you felt?
I mean, I felt similar like you're saying, but I also felt like this is the moment now where after we get out the hospital, it's no turning back. You have to actually take care of this child. You have to man up.
Yeah.
So your world does turn around, but for the better,
Right.
Because this child is actually gonna make you a better person. So
right.
Wasn't bad.
Let me ask you this. So this is important. Tell me a little bit about your experience with your father. How was that, and how has that influenced the way that you parent your daughter now?
Well, my father, to tell you the truth, he was there, but he wasn't always there. I mean, he was one of those typical Latin American fathers, machista. Never really showed any emotion to me.
Okay.
He was always hard. I was the only boy, so he was always harder on me than everybody else. But never showed me any really love and emotion. So I never really felt like I could be comfortable to go to him and talk to him.
Okay.
Anything would happen, I needed a man to be there and actually go to him, me being a man myself, but never really felt comfortable talking to him. So that kind of affected the way I lived my life during my young age,
How?
Well, I was with a single mother. She had 2 other boys. It was 3 boys for a single mother. Hardworking lady.
Yeah.
But she wasn't a man. I needed a man to become a man. So what I did was I took to the streets. I learned how to be a man in the streets.
Right.
God willing, and thank God, I never really lost myself in the streets. I got myself out of it, and I did what I had to do. And then I had this experience where I was able to have a child. And I guess those experiences that I had with my father makes me aspire to be not the greatest father in the world, but just to be the greatest father for her, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want her to feel like she can't trust me. I don't want her to feel like she can't come to me if anything.
And how do you do those things? So you're saying that you felt like you couldn't approach your dad.
Yeah.
And so you've decided to become approachable.
Right.
How do you do that?
Well, since my daughter, she's a very intelligent girl. She's 6 years old. But my daughter, I never really babied her. I always talk to her straight up. Now she's 6. Anything that happens, she does anything wrong, I don't scorn her. I don't hit her. I don't scream.
Right.
I pull her to the side like an adult.
Yeah.
And I tell her, listen, what's going on? What are you doing wrong? What do you think you're doing wrong?
Right.
And she'll think about it and she'll tell me, so what do you think I should do to you? What do you think should be the consequences, you know what I mean?
Really?
And then I let her know, I'm not coming and talking to you in this way because I don't love you. I want you to feel comfortable to me because I do love you.
Right.
And I want you to know that even though you do something bad or good, at the end of the day, if you're truthful to me, there's not a problem. But I'm always going to love you regardless, no matter the fact what you do.
Yeah. How did you learn how to tell her that you love her? How to say I love you to her?
I mean, it comes easy. I mean, it's my child, it's my daughter, you know what I mean? There's not a day that passes by, I don't live with her, but it's not a day that doesn't pass by that I don't think about her, or I don't think of a way for me to be a better father. I mean, and we have conversations regular about life. If I need to tell her something, I pull it to the side and I try to explain it to her. If she can't understand it, then we'll I'll leave it like that, and then we'll explain it to her some other time.
You know, and you just said something that should be our next conversation, which is you're not living with your daughter.
No.
You're not living with your daughter or her mother.
No.
So well, anyway, we'll talk about that next time.
No problem.
Because that has to be a very interesting conversation.
Very. I mean, hey.
So then you said because your dad was someone who wasn't approachable, one of the ways that you do it is by talking to her, by addressing her.
Right.
So if something happens, you come down to her level. Do you ever take like a knee so that
we sit down?
You sit
we
down.
sit down with her.
Because I started doing that. I thought, I don't know where I picked that up, but then, because they're so little,
right.
I just feel like, they're always looking up.
Right.
And that can't be good.
Right.
So I started really taking a knee every time that I went to talk to them, especially for heavy things. Like when I was upset, I'm like, I'm coming down.
Right, right.
So not just a voice, not just a tone of voice, but I'm going to come down and have that conversation. And so what are some of the things that you didn't like about your dad here's an important one that you didn't like that your dad did, but you might have done already in these 6 years?
I mean, to tell you the truth, like I focused myself so much in not being like my father, that I really don't think that I did anything wrong or anything like him. I focused myself in being totally, completely different than what he was, so my daughter would experience what I experienced.
Right.
So,
and you said something earlier that was very interesting. Your mother, a mother of 3 or 4? 3, right? And that no matter how hard she tried, she wasn't the dad. She wasn't that dad. Yeah. She wasn't the man. And there is something to that. I recently had this conversation with someone, and my mother was a wonderful woman, but she couldn't take the place of a man.
It's impossible.
It's impossible, right? And this is why this program exists, because I think that I want everybody to know that if you make the decision, even if you didn't make it, if it just happened and now you're having a child, the responsibility is that you have to be there, because who's going to take your place otherwise? Right.
Exactly.
In your case, having a daughter, it's so important that you somehow stay in her life, right? Because if you're not there, then she might be looking for that love, that affection that you're giving her from someone else.
Exactly.
And that could be really bad.
I mean, it is bad, because you can't imagine yourself having a daughter and then having your daughter go into somebody else for that father advice, that father love,
Right.
So I can't imagine. So that's why I always try, even though I'm not with the mother and living with the mother, I always try to be there. I always try to call anything with school. I always try to be there.
Right.
Even if it's like I recently started doing this. She lives in the Bronx. She lives pretty far. Right. So what I do is, her school is a block away from where she lives at. Okay. But since I can't see her every day, I mean, I at least take the time to go and at least walk her that block. Right. Because even though it is a block, it's a block that you're spending with your daughter. Right. So, right. I mean, you do whatever you need to do to be in the part of your kid's life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, even if you live with doing what you just said, walking that one block. I mean, that's huge. That's important. I mean, obviously, there's a million other things that you have to take care of when you're there present every single day. I mean, you have to help. I don't know, with everything that has to do with the home. But if you're not, and you can do that one block, you got to do that.
That one block is huge for her.
Right.
Because every time I tell her I'm going to go, you want me to take you to school? Oh, yeah, Daddy, I want you to take me to school. And she sees me in the morning and there's a smile on her face, and at least that conversation for that block that you have, right. It means a lot. It means a world to them.
And going back to your dad, he's still alive?
Yes.
Do you have communication with him? Do you talk to him about it?
It's funny because I just recently started talking to him again.
After how many years?
After 3 years.
Okay.
We stopped having conversations. I mean, like I told you, we don't have a real close conversation. Right. So he actually looked for me.
Oh, yeah?
He actually got in contact with one of my cousins and looked for me, went to my job and actually looking for me. Right. So we had a conversation, and now we're trying to build on that relationship now, Yeah. So, I mean, it's good, but it's not there yet.
It's not there.
I mean, I'm almost 30, so
yeah.
I mean, I needed to be a man before. But he's making the effort, so I'll take the effort, and I make the effort as well to get to know him now.
Right. You know, and that makes me think of the importance of being there for your children when they're really little, because that's really when you need a parent. That's really when you need that
Exactly.
your dad or your mom to be there
Exactly.
and to help you with so many things, like all of the basic stuff, the
Yeah.
fundamental stuff.
Yeah.
You get it at like until 6, 7, 8, and then later you start drifting.
Right.
You're going in your own direction.
I mean, life.
And now you're 30, and it's like, yeah, well, you know.
I mean, like life. Like I said, life is a lot of challenges, and you need somebody to guide you. You're young,
Right.
you know, and if you don't have that person to guide you, in my case, my mom was a strong woman as well, very
Right.
religious. She was there for us, but it's like I told you, she wasn't a man, so I needed that man to guide me and tell me,
Right.
you know what, that strong hand, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. I learned it on my own,
Right.
you know. So yeah, you have to be with your kids there when they're younger, because you're the only guiding light for them in life.
Right.
After a certain age, they're gonna look at you. They don't need you anymore.
What are some of the interesting things about being a dad to a daughter,
Oh
to a girl?
man. Well, as soon as when you know you're gonna have a daughter, you already start thinking. I mean, most guys. I don't know, but I can speak for most guys. They already start thinking about in the future. I'm gonna have to start getting ready for these boyfriends and everything else. So,
Yeah.
but having a daughter is really amazing because they look at you. Since you're their dad, you're their male figure. They kind of attach themselves more to you. So it's like a different love than actually having a son.
Right.
But it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
real amazing. To a daughter, yeah.
You know, yeah, I don't have that. You know, I have two boys, a
Okay.
6-year-old and a 7-year-old, and so I don't have that.
Yeah.
But you know, but I'm still very, very protective. I still, you know, I still have the conversations about, people have to earn your trust.
Of
And even
course.
though they're really little, I think that it's important to use these words,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
they start processing them, right?
That's what I'm saying. You're speaking about that, telling them what you're teaching your sons. There's one thing I teach my daughter now since she's been 4. It's about sitting in a man's lap.
Oh, all right.
Like those are
Oh,
those little
man.
things
Yeah.
is that, you know, they have uncles, they have
Yeah.
grandfathers and everything, and that's fine. You know, I'm not saying it doesn't mean that they're going to do anything bad,
Right.
but this world is full of, you know, bad people
you
with,
just-
you
yeah.
know. So you have to teach them from little. You don't sit in every man's lap. You
Okay,
don't do that. So
okay.
just little things like that is
Yeah.
that I start talking to her, and she starts, you know, contemplating and then thinking about it. There was a
Right.
day when she did do that. Like her uncle was gonna sit in her lap, and she's like, "Oh no, 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 I can't sit in your lap." Daddy said no.
Classic.
Yeah. So stuff
Yeah.
like that and things like that, you're supposed, you know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, that's something I never thought about because boys don't sit on men's
Yeah.
laps, you
Yeah.
know. But I definitely, you know, I've definitely said, no one's allowed to touch your butt or your
Yeah,
weenie.
exactly.
You know, I mean, except mommy or
Exactly.
or me when we're bathing,
Mhm.
and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's important because if they don't know, man.
No, they don't until you
and
tell them and you show them the way. They
Right.
won't know.
Right. One of the things that I try to do is hold on a second. I think we're running out of time. So let's do this. I thank you so much for joining me today.
It's a pleasure. It's a
It's
pleasure
been
to.
a great conversation. We wish you I wish you lots of luck, and you have to come back for that other part about the
Sure,
conversation.
not a problem. I'll
All
be
right.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, if you're 16 to 24 years of age and you would like to have a conversation with me, please write me an email. I'd love to hear from you. And that's it. That is the end of our segment. Please be on the lookout for the next one. Thank you.